from Chicago joining us today, and also Washington, D.C. So Community Ambassadors, as all of you know, is new to Wisconsin, but it's also very new to Autism Speaks. So starting right now, we're going to be recording. So any questions that you ask, please feel free, but know that it's going to be a nationally used recording for Autism Speaks, because we see this as a really, really valuable program and are looking forward to spreading it throughout the nation. So we're going to be co-presenting, both Lori and myself. Lori Chern is not only a parent of a child with autism, but she also is on the Chicago chapter board and is the person who runs Community Ambassadors for Chicago. So how many more people are you looking for? We are expecting about 7 more people. Thank you so much. So a little bit about me. I'm Mallory Walsh. I'm Milwaukee Events Manager of Autism Speaks Milwaukee. And if we're able to just go around this room at the very least, not everyone unfortunately on the call, because we might be here for a while, but Lori just likes to know who you are and how you're acquainted to autism, so she knows how to tailor this program. So I'm going to go ahead and start.
All right, well, I'm Jessica. I have a little brother who has autism, and he's turned 18, so it's kind of cool to get involved in autism awareness and helping out other people that are involved in it and are affected by it.
Great. Thanks, Jessica.
That's great.
I think she can hear you guys. Yeah.
Good morning or afternoon, as it would be. I'm Bill Robarge, and I have a daughter who is on the spectrum. And she is 4 years old and currently in intensive ABA therapy.
Hi, I'm Betsy Spalla. I have a daughter who is 6 on the autism spectrum, who's in ABA therapy, and I also am involved in a couple different support groups in the Milwaukee area.
Thank you, guys.
I'm sorry, I have Jessica, Bill, and then the third woman.
Betsy Spalla.
Okay.
My name is Veronica Nolden. I have a 9-year-old little boy, Brandon, who is on the autism spectrum. He's in post-intensive care, and I'm also a parent advocate with Wisconsin FACES.
I'm Colleen Marvnik. I'm a student in technology, and I do ABA therapy with Wisconsin Early Autism Center.
Great. And Lori, right now that's all we have here. So are we ready to go ahead and get started?
Absolutely. Everyone over there can hear me, correct?
Correct. Loud and clear.
Okay. Well, I'd like to start by welcoming you all to the Community Ambassador Program. It is a delight for me because I am also a parent. As Mallory stated, I'm the parent of a child on the spectrum. My son Dylan is 11 years old, and he is, well, currently he's diagnosed with Asperger's, but of course, as we all know, that diagnosis is going to change where it will just, become autism spectrum disorder with the changes. And he was diagnosed with PDD when he was about 5 years old. And then he turned 7 years old, it became more definitive that it was, in fact, Asperger's. And why I'm giving you this information is that I found it is really helpful to be able to reach out and find these small communities within our larger autism community and find parents that, share in the same challenges that we're all facing. At the time that my son was diagnosed, I could not find one other person in my community that had a child on the spectrum that was willing to share what it was like for them. And so I was really struggling with that, which is why I decided to become involved in Autism Speaks and have continued, being a part of it ever since. So that was about 2.5 years ago, and this program really helps carry out that vision for me because it's helping to build awareness to all the other individuals that are in that autism community, and hopefully it's going to become more commonplace to talk about it, which is really what the driving force was for me when my son turned 5 years old. So With that being said, I would like to go ahead and formally start by having us all look at the slides. You'll see the first slide is listed as our training outline. And there's a variety of different presentations that we can give, tailoring it to the needs of whoever is on the call or whoever we are training in person. So for the sake of this group, we would train you without what we call Autism 101. It's nice in the sense that we get some volunteers that really don't know anything about autism, and so we have an opportunity to kind of help build that foundation and start from the ground up and teach them what it is all about to know someone on the spectrum and what it's like for them to navigate their way through the world. So we are not going to do that section because it's apparent through hearing how all of you are involved with your own children, and Jessica, you have your brother, that you know a lot of information about it already. So we'll talk a little bit about what it's like at the local level. Some pieces I'm going to obviously have Mallory jump in because for us in Chicago it's different for Mallory in the Milwaukee community. So we both have Big Walks, which is our biggest fundraiser, and that is nationally known as the Walk now for Autism Speaks. We also have Team Up with Autism Speaks, which is it is a way to organize different teams where we can participate in marathons, half marathons, and continue to raise funds. And then we also have the Ride for Autism Speaks, which I believe Mallory is going to be coming to Milwaukee. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's terrific. So we're going to talk a little bit about examples of these are things that happen at the local level and how becoming a community ambassador is also something that we are bringing to you as a local chapter. At Autism Speaks, we were founded in February 2005 by Bob and Suzanne Wright. We were formerly two different organizations, and we merged together to form Autism Speaks, and we have grown into the nation's largest science and advocacy organization. And we in a few slides coming up, we always do like to state our mission, but our goal is to change the future for all who struggle with autism spectrum disorders. And you'll also note that our website, which we try and promote as often as possible because it gives such a wealth of information, that is also included all throughout this presentation. Okay, our mission, as I stated earlier, it would come up. We are dedicated to funding global biomedical research into the causes, prevention, treatment, and cure for autism. We are trying to raise public awareness about autism and its effects on individuals, families, and society. And we want to bring hope to all who deal with the hardships of this disorder. You'll notice at the bottom of that slide that there are, there's a diagram at the bottom, and those are really the 4 pillars of our mission. We have the science piece, family services, advocacy, and awareness, and they all really tie into each other. So it's really a great picture to describe each of our 4 pillars. In terms of science, which we'll continue to go through, but if I can just touch on them briefly, science really deals with a lot of the research projects that are continuously going on, really nationwide, and where we are in terms of investigating different therapies, medicines, and other possible treatments for those that are living with ASD. Next, we have family services, which is really a lot of what we're doing with this program. It's illustrated by the work that you're going to thankfully assist us with to bring some of our toolkits and our resources to life, which you'll get to know more about as we dive into this program. We have our advocacy efforts. Some of our efforts include Autism Votes. We also have a team of parents that have children on the spectrum, and they are assisting us working with Congress to help us with insurance reform. And then we have our awareness pillar, which is also a big one. our awareness campaign helps put some faces with the word autism. We have a very big Lighted Up Blue campaign, which is Autism Awareness Day, which is April 2nd, and we are already have some planning underway to make that a significant day for everyone. So everyone in our community is noticing the blue everywhere, whether it is, because restaurants and local businesses are showing some support, or buildings have lit up blue. So now we're going to go and talk a little bit about your community before we dive into those 4 pillars more.
Sure. So as many of you know, we have the support of hundreds of people in this area, which we're so happy to welcome all of you in this facet of this community. I know many of you have been involved in other ways, but we are happy that in the state of Wisconsin right now we will have 22 community ambassadors, which is very, very exciting. We also have 9 collegiate groups all over the state that on a monthly basis do either awareness campaigns or fundraising campaigns. So very supported. I am the only full-time staff person right now for the entire state of Wisconsin, but I do have 2 interns that I work with. So we are very happy to have this program here and all the programs that Lori mentioned that we will talk about in a little more detail, I'm sure, after the meeting. But we do have Walk, we have Ride, Team Up, and now, thankfully, Community Ambassadors. So thank you guys all so much for being a part of this.
Okay, we have this, slide to illustrate where the money is divided up, and so you can see that your money really does, the funds that we raise go to a good place. So 71% of our funds go to research, which is really important for people in the community to know, that it is not just, based on getting our name out there, being recognized, awareness, and family services, but the greatest chunk of our percentage is towards research. And then you can see the breakdown. The next largest is awareness at 24%, and then the others are divided up between family services and government relations.
Okay, so Science, as you can see here, Autism Speaks has given graciously with the money that all of you have helped us fundraise, $180 million to research through 2004. And this is very important to know that as a national organization, we're able to leverage every dollar that we put towards research tenfold through other national organizations, which is pretty exceptional. We have a new nonprofit organization, kind of a subset of Autism Speaks, called Delphia, because our families are so happy to fundraise and to allow us to give this money towards research, but they said, how is this really impacting my home? What is this science telling me and my family right now? And that's what Delphia is really bringing that science to your doorstep of how it impacts you now. So we have so many families that are so excited about that new undertaking that Autism Speaks started almost about a month ago now. If you are a science guru and want to know where your dollars are going and would love to know the latest and greatest that's happening within Autism Speaks, we do have a Science Digest that has over 9,000 subscribers, and that is a bi-monthly, or I'm sorry, every other week you will get a newsletter in your inbox about what our science team is doing. So it's very, very valuable if science is something you are interested in. We also have what's called ATN sites, which is a mission of Autism Speaks to have an ATN site near you, near all of our families. Because what this is we've gotten feedback from our families saying we've had to go from this doctor, at this side of the city to this doctor on the other side of the state, all for different issues that our kiddos are facing right now. And Autism Speaks said we will start an ATN, an Autism Treatment Network, which is a whole person approach that literally you can go into this network system and have everything treated right there and then. So we are working very, very hard, as some of you know, to get an ATN site here in Wisconsin. So we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, the
locally
sites that we have are, in this to Wisconsin, Chicago, there are 2, I believe, in Ohio, and we have a total of 17 in the U.S. and in Canada.
Mm-hmm. And you can see locally here we've given almost $1 million to research projects that are happening here. So we have a project that's happening at UW-Madison, 2 at the Weizmann Center currently, and then 1 here at the University of Milwaukee. So there are research dollars that are coming back to the state, but I always like to point out that we are going to put those research dollars wherever research is best happening, because as you guys know, if there's a cure in Shanghai, there's a cure here, right? So this is, like Lori mentioned, this is our most funded pillar and something that we do extremely well. So I encourage you to dig a little bit deeper into our science. Our advocacy, as Lori mentioned, our big kind of subcategory of Autism Speaks is Autism Votes, which is our advocacy group. And you can become involved very, very quickly. You can actually text the word AVOTE to 30644, and you will consistently get text messages about what our team needs you to do, not only on a federal level, but on a local level. This is a way that we support families really at a federal level. You can see the map here in the bottom right-hand corner. When Autism Speaks was founded in 2005, there was 1 state that had the autism insurance reform, and now we have 32 states. So in 7 years, we have gone capital by capital, making sure that states have that insurance coverage. Also during the presidential debates, we were extremely active. As you can see, we held a National Forum for Disability Issues to make sure that your concerns and our concerns and the care for individuals with autism were in the platform that both candidates were presenting. You can also see here in the bottom left-hand corner, Bob and Suzanne Wright with President Obama when they fought very, very hard to have the reauthorization of the Combating Autism Bill, which gives $693 million of federal funding to autism research. So I like to mention to families that on a local level, we have these state insurance reforms that we fight for, but on a federal level, our Autism Vote team is constantly working for you and your family. The TRICARE bill is one that we had great success with recently, which is providing 23,000 military families with the right to continue to have ABA services regardless of the active or inactive nature of their military giving. So that was pretty exciting for us. We got it through the Senate, and now we're waiting on the House to determine if that bill will pass. So this is something that we do well, and again, if you want to be active with it, please just text Autism Vote. All right, on our awareness campaign, this is something many of you know our puzzle piece, and Lori mentioned a little bit about Light It Up Blue. Every April we celebrate World Autism Awareness Day and Autism Awareness Month. As Lori mentioned, we try to have everything here in Milwaukee and throughout Wisconsin, and quite frankly, the nation go blue. I know that last year we had several landmarks. I think, yeah, several landmarks go blue, and several landmarks here in Wisconsin go blue, which is very exciting. Part of this awareness campaign, though, is really getting people talking about autism, educating people about autism, and then eventually that acceptance piece, because business by business, person by person, news station by news station, people are talking and learning and knowing what autism is, and that acceptance piece is shortly following. So that's our third pillar. And family services is where Lori starts, and really, like she said, where Community Ambassadors helps us make people aware of what Autism Speaks is doing for their families.
Yeah. As you'll see on the slide, there's, we trying to organize it by categorizing it into 3 different subsets. So we have a lot of resources, and all of these resources that we're going to touch on today, we're not going to dive into each of them that thoroughly in the interest of time, especially because the one that we are going to roll out for this next program for this group is what's called the 100-Day Kit, which we'll touch on. But we have so many other resources that are available, and all of them can be viewed by going to our website, which is www.autismspeaks.org, for you to download your own personal copy. So if you're looking at the three categories, on the far left, we have the category for newly diagnosed, and that would include what this is, which is the 100-Day Kit. The 100-Day Kit is a great resource. It is a booklet, it's a manual essentially, which helps parents as they navigate their way through those first 100 days after receiving a diagnosis. So families can request their own personal copy of a 100-Day Kit within 6 months of their diagnosis. It gives them some suggestions and some tips about what to do first, what types of therapies they can get their child into as soon as possible, what the different therapy options there are at this time, and some contacts for them. And it also, in the back, there's a nice log for parents to record dates and evaluations that were done so that they can have a reference to look back at. And it's also nice because parents will then have a baseline. So as the months go on and they can't really see as much progress and they want to know when they started with a particular type of therapy, they can look back at their own guide that they have started in the back of that toolkit. So that's such a great resource. As we know, the average age of a child that gets diagnosed is at 4. And we're really trying to move that age earlier. So what we are trying to do is to roll out awareness about the 100-Day Kit to some daycare providers and preschools so that some professionals know about it and can certainly look at it to gain some information about signs and symptoms, but taking that a step further to make some parents feel empowered and aware about the information that's provided. We also have our Autism Video Glossary, which is an outstanding resource. If you click on the video glossary by going on our website, you can have a view of a certain type of behavior by what we call typical child, and then a child that might be showing some red flags. That's really useful information. If there are parents looking at their child who is at 20 months old, 18 months old, 8 months old, and judge a certain behavior and start having that inner gut feeling, is this typical? There are some behaviors that they can compare to one child who we think might show some red flags and another child doing the exact same behavior that we would consider a more quote-unquote typical child at that age. So it's a really nice comparison. We also have a Snippets haircutting guide, because for a lot of children that are on the spectrum, as a lot of the parents on this meeting, on this phone call are aware of, there's a lot of sensory issues that become part of it, and getting your haircut is not as easy as it sounds. So we have an excellent haircutting guide. As we kind of transform into the school-age children section, I often pair up the haircutting guide with the dental guide because, again, that has to do with a lot of sensory issues, and going to the dentist could be a very traumatic experience for someone on the spectrum. So it gives a lot of tools that parents can use to prepare their child for going to the dentist. Going back a little bit, you'll see at the top we have our School Community Toolkit, which is our largest toolkit. It's a 260-page document, which really helps the school community understand how everyone can become a part in working with a child who's on the spectrum. It is not just the classroom teacher. It is the school principal, the school nurse, the specialist teachers, the bus driver, the lunchroom aides. Everybody within a school community can help play a part in making the entire community one that's autism friendly. And so that is a resource that we do our best to inform some local schools about. We had an opportunity in 2010 to meet with over 30 Chicago public schools and introduce the School Community Toolkit too. So we're always trying to roll that out within the school communities. And then we have another big one, which is our transition toolkit. And this one is geared towards young adults pretty much, primarily in the age ranges of 14 to 22 years old. So if you're looking at the resources, I kind of look at the 100-day kit as being for 0 to 7 years of age. And then it slowly kind of transfers into the transition toolkit, which helps parents understand what they need to do to plan for their child's future. And believe it or not, that process does start at about 14 years of age. Parents need to know that they can be using their IEP teams within their school settings to help them make that plan moving forward. And it gives step-by-step and, again, organizes everything out for parents to understand what they should be considering, either health-related issues, there's legal matters to consider, and we'll go a little bit into that in some future slides coming up. And then we have a section for young adults and adults, which is after the transition toolkit. We have Autism in the Workplace, a Defining the Future DVD series, and a consortium called Advancing Futures for Adults with Autism. On the bottom of that slide, you'll see we have our Autism Response Team, which is also known as ART. The Autism Response Team is something you'll become familiar with towards the end of this presentation, because this is where people go if they want to receive their own personal copy of a toolkit. We have on our website a resource guide and resource library. Community Connections is our e-newsletter, and we also have our Autism Safety Project. On the left, you'll see we have Autism Cares, which is a way that we can give back to the community in terms of if there should be any environmental or sudden, catastrophic things that happen to a family, whether that would be Hurricane Sandy or a variety of other natural disasters where we can assist. And we also have My Autism Team, which is, as you can see, the social network. So parents can communicate with each other if they have questions or stories to share or tips when they have children that are on the spectrum.
Does anyone have any questions? Those are so many resources, so I just want to make sure. Yeah, please.
I don't know if you that in Spanish.
Currently, we are working to get all of our toolkits in Spanish, but right now the 100-day kit is the only toolkit that is physically in Spanish. We will mail those out to families just like we do the English version. But our website, right at the bottom, you can change our website to any language so that they can review that information for themselves online. So thank you. That's a great question, and we do get that a lot. So we are working very hard to do all of that translation, and as you know, I'm sure it takes a while.
Actually, our transition toolkit we're just about in the final stages of that, and it is translated in Spanish, and that will be rolled out in the coming months, I would hope.
Any other questions? Okay, great.
Okay, so as I stated earlier, I did give a lot of information on the previous slide about the 100-day kit, but this is the kit that you're going to be focusing on for the purposes of this project. And the bullet points give some information about the kit, and that, after this program started, there were 8,000 kits personalized and distributed. So there were 600 in Illinois in 2010. And it's been a great way to get the word out that the 100-day kit exists. And I just also want to reiterate that even though this kit, you can request your own personal copy, if you have a child within 6 months of their diagnosis, anybody can go online and download it. It's also nice because you can go online and download just certain sections if you're looking them up for another member of the family that wants to understand a particular part of your child's diagnosis.
Yes?
What's different about the personalized version versus the one that we see on the website?
Sure. So that's a great question. I just want to make sure everyone on the call heard. What is the difference between the the personalized version and the version that you get on the website. And what Autism Speaks does is those people who contact us and are within that 6-month window, Autism Speaks pulls information that we have on Wisconsin's resource guide. So on our website, we have, if you click on the state of Wisconsin, and it lists all the services that are available here, which providers put that information in. We also have my interns currently working to really beef that up. But we have, I believe, about 900 listed businesses and supporters on our Wisconsin resource guide right now. And that's where the team, that's how they personalize not only the 100-day kit, but the transition toolkit. And to add to what Lori was saying, I do know that over 20,000 downloads have happened of the 100-day kit. Here in Wisconsin, though, they have personalized over 400. So we're excited once Community Ambassadors starts, and you guys are telling 5 businesses every single month, pretty much every 6 weeks, about this, to see that number really, really jump. So
I just want to, if you don't mind, piggyback on that a little bit. The other difference between having your own personalized copy is for the people that call our ART, the Autism Response Team, they, as Mallory stated, will get some information about you if you call to request your own copy. And what's nice is that you'll get a follow-up phone call 3 months later to ask how things are going and to see that things are moving forward and you have all the resources you need, and to see how else we can help you. So it's a nice partnership. It's not just a, here's the information, download it, and here you go. It's a way to help someone get their feet off the ground and continue that relationship.
Some of us have dual relationships where, like, we're parent-to-parent mentors, or I think you said, are you a staff nurse? Can we order that for our families and just say we don't give the contact information? Because sometimes when they're so overwhelmed in those early stages, it's easier for us to go and grab something for them and kind of give it to them versus having them hunt it themselves.
Lori, do you know the answer to that question?
I could only hear parts of the question. I think it was,
sure.
Can you print it out, did you say, and give it to them?
Nope. So we have some wonderful family advocates here in the room who really partner up with newly diagnosed families. And as you can relate to, that's a very overwhelming feeling. So they're wondering, as advocates, can they somehow purchase or get from Autism Speaks those personalized toolkits?
Well, that's certainly something that we can touch base with Jody in our office about. I do know that if there are, a bunch of toolkits that we do at times send them to like a FedEx location and then they're to be picked up, but that is something that we can look into and see. We generally don't, just pass them out because we want to make sure they get into the right hands. What I mean by that is, as you know, we're not for-profit organization, and it's very costly to print all of these toolkits. So that is why we do encourage people to download when they are able. Nevertheless, that's a great question, and we can make sure that we get the answer for you.
Yes, thank you. We will look into that.
Okay, so the Asperger Syndrome Toolkit, which is also the Asperger Syndrome and High Functioning Autism Toolkit. It was launched in March of 2010, and the reason why it was created was because we received a lot of feedback from families that were able to preview the 100-day toolkit and found it very useful, but felt that there was a lot that they needed to gear towards their children who are on a different point in the spectrum. And respecting the fact that there is a spectrum and that all children fall on different parts of the spectrum, our response to that was to come out with this toolkit, which is really geared towards issues that pertain to children that might be on that higher end of the spectrum. It contains information and advice, which is collected and trusted from other experts that is that moves along on that topic. The Transition Toolkit, which I also mentioned in a little bit more depth earlier, is our Transition Toolkit is for young adults that are between that age of 14 and 22. And we really want to give parents as much information as we can before their child ages out of the school system. And that's a primary goal, so that parents have all the information they need to move forward and decide if their housing is an issue for them to consider, post-secondary education opportunities, whether they need to consider community living. So all of these things are valuable pieces of information for parents to know. And even though they're not saving for college, there are other things that they need to set up accounts for, so that they can be prepared when their child ages out of the school setting. So our autism response team, which I mentioned earlier, is a 1-888 number, which you can see on your slide. And we do have someone at the other number that speaks Spanish. And we, or of course you can email. We do track these phone calls because it gives us a great deal of data in terms of how the program is going and whether the requests for toolkits continue to increase. What's really nice is that often when I have this program, I look at kind of the baseline data of where we're at, and then after a wave of community ambassadors go out into the community, I do like to check back to see if that number did increase an extra amount due to the fact that we had people going out and meeting with professionals or other representatives in the community. As I stated earlier, after that initial phone call to request a personal copy, these people will get some information, a phone call 3 months later to see how they're doing. And we do keep a tally, a running tally on the phone calls and record that data. So now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the program and what your role is. As a community ambassador, you will serve as a representative of Autism Speaks to help us raise awareness about all of the family resources that we have available. As I stated earlier, we are focusing on the 100-day kit. So in the past, what we've done is we've had community ambassadors go to a variety of places to present the toolkit, whether it is a doctor's office or schools. Now we're hitting daycares and preschools, but we always look at a variety of venues and try and hit a variety of professionals so that we can try and build awareness in all of these different areas. Why would we do the 100-day kit? There's some bullet points which explain that, obviously because early intervention is crucial, and oftentimes because the first person who gives that diagnosis is a physician or professional. So in that respect, that was why we initially wanted to, go back and visit pediatricians and be able to put information out in their waiting rooms while parents are sitting and waiting for their appointment, to pick it up and look through it and order their own copy if it did pertain to them. Also make sure that some of the pediatricians were aware that it was available so that they could also recommend it to some of their patients. Further down, families that have been diagnosed in the last 6 months, as we stated, can request a copy, and the 100-day kit is available in English and Spanish and is free of charge thanks to support of our donors. So what's going to happen is some of you, if you're on the call, will receive these supplies in the mail, but the people that are sitting in person, you will receive a folder with all of your materials before you leave today. What you'll receive is, we call them our Slim Jim packets. And I don't know, Mallory, if you have one near you that you can show, but essentially it's like a brochure. There's a front side and a back side. One side is in Spanish and one side is in English. And they give information about the 100-day toolkit and how to order one. And it comes with a brochure stand so that when you are leaving behind after you visit someone in a daycare or preschool, you can have it all set up for them so that you're asking them to do very minimal work just by putting it out in an area where it would be highly populated with people coming in and out of the center. We also have some Autism Speaks toolkit sheets, and these give you a rundown of a bunch of our toolkits and little descriptions underneath about what each toolkit has inside of it that would be useful for that group of people. So it gives information about the 100-day toolkit, the transition toolkit, and some of our other toolkits that we have that can be looked at strictly only from downloading them. We also have a materials order forms so that if a daycare provider runs out of some of our Slim Jims, they can place another order and we can restock them. What you will have with you is you'll have one copy of the 100-day toolkit. We're going to give you each a lapel pin that we ask that you wear when you make your visits. We have a visit log that's also included in your folder because we do take down the information that you'll provide with us in terms of how receptive the visit was, if they seemed to be someone who wanted to display some of these materials. If they're not interested, we want to know that also because we don't want to certainly contact them again. Sometimes it's a good base for us to form a relationship in other ways, and then that leads into some other aspects of our organization, such as the resource fair for the walk, because we do promote a lot of service providers, and that's another nice way to build that relationship. So there's a lot of things that can come from giving us as much information as you can on the visit log. And then we will also leave you with some talking points. I know that talking to you a lot today and giving you the slide presentation is one thing, but we'll also leave you behind with some bullet points of the things that you want to focus on when you're meeting with each professional or with each daycare provider. I want to reiterate that you will only have one copy of the 100-day toolkit, and that copy is yours to use while you're going to be helping us through this program. I always recommend that community ambassadors go through the toolkit and kind of put little sticky notes on the sides and write notes to yourself of things that you feel are the most beneficial for a daycare provider to know going into that meeting. So you feel very prepared to answer the questions that might come to you, but at the same time, you're prepared to highlight sections of that toolkit that you think would be most useful. When you conduct a visit, we ask that you wear your lapel pin, you bring your 100-day kit, a pack of Slim Jims, one brochure stand, and a materials order form. At the front desk, you'll introduce yourself if you have not made an appointment ahead of time. We do recommend that you do call ahead to make an appointment because that way people are giving you a good time where that they can sit down with you and look over the materials that you have, as opposed to just popping in, not knowing if you'll even have the opportunity to make a connection with the contact that we're giving you. You'll show them the 100-day kit and discuss why it's useful and how parents can access the kits. And towards the end of your meeting, you'll ask them to please display the Slim Jims in the brochure stand so that parents can take one and download information if they need it, or of course so that they can preview other resources on our website. I also want to point out that if any questions come your way that you are not comfortable answering, or if you're unsure, Mallory will provide you, I'm sure, with a business card somewhere in your packet of materials so that you can always direct any of their questions onto her. This slide deals with a couple of the what-ifs that might happen in a situation if there's no head nurse or office manager available, if they tell you there's not a good time. And there have been situations in the past where people, for some reason, are not as receptive, and that's fine. We just record that information, and we are careful not to, revisit again. But that information is valuable to us either way. And of course, if the phone number doesn't work, please let us know, and Mallory can get you another assignment. So moving forward, if we look at our timeline, at this point you've all completed your community ambassador training. We will save some time for you to ask as many questions as you have. Your timeline looks that you will expect a refill every 6 weeks, to my knowledge, with new assignments. Is that correct, Mallory?
That is correct.
So then after you receive all of your assignments, you'll read through them and familiarize yourself. And you can just review your offices by checking them out online if you want to get a little bit more information about them and set up a meeting time. And then we ask that you complete your log and turn it in when you are able, either through email, faxing it to us, or in the mail.
Any questions about that timeline? Lori, do you have some examples of questions that typically pop up during your training?
I'm sorry, the phone went out for a second. Can you say it again, Mallory?
Sure. Some questions that typically pop up when you're doing training?
Sometimes people will ask if they know of a specific daycare that's close to their home that they already have some type of a prior relationship with. Would it be okay if they pay them a visit? And we always say, yes, we want you to feel empowered to visit places, especially those that you already have a relationship established with. Or if there's, any other professional that you know would really benefit from the knowledge that we present in the 100-Day Toolkit, please go ahead and get that out. We are, while we are trying to roll it out to daycare providers and preschool teachers and schools, we want to branch out as much as we can so that we build awareness about it.
Any other questions here in the room? All right, Lori, I think with that we might be able to end this presentation, and thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you all very much. And I know that it will be such a rewarding experience for you. It's hard because you don't always see the benefits right after you finish your meeting. But when Mallory is able to give you the results of the amount of toolkits that have been requested as a result of the work that you're doing, that's when you feel the reward in there. So thank you so much, because there's so many families that are unaware about our resources that will know after this project is completed.
Thank you, Lori. Have a wonderful day, and happy holidays to everyone on the call.
Thank you. Same to you as well.